college entrance exam had just ended. I steered my old three-wheeled cart and quietly stopped in front of the school gate, starting my job of collecting used books from my classmates. Suddenly, the class beauty walked over. With a careless flick, she threw a tied-up stack of letters at me and sneered, "I'll sell these to you for just a dime. Take the money and save up, maybe you'll have enough for your college tuition." I suddenly froze. My heartbeat went out of rhythm when I realized every single letter was signed with a familiar name. Ryan Liu. He was the one who had once promised to take the Tsinghua University entrance exam with me. He had only ever written me a single love letter, just one. Yet he had written this entire stack for the class beauty. I lowered my head and quietly picked up each love letter that had fallen, gathering them all into the sack on the back of my old cart. The sack was already stuffed full of old books that the exam candidates no longer needed. I bought them and sold them to the junk shop to scrape together some money to get through the shaky days after the exam. You're not curious enough to open them? Ryan's writing is really sweet. One semester he wrote me a whole 100 letters, and every single one used different words to compliment me. Chloe Zhao spoke up. She was dressed in fashionable clothes, with light makeup that made her look even more radiant. From her eyes to the way she stood, everything about her showed the confident air typical of a city girl. She had once been the class's cultural committee member, the brightest face in the eyes of the boys. Her grades always held steady at third place in the entire grade, and in our class, she used to rank right below me. But that was all in the past. Now the top spot had fallen into her hands, while I ranked near the bottom every single time we had a mock exam, becoming the reluctant joke of our honors class. I used to be called a Tsinghua seedling. Now, that title had fallen to Chloe Zhou and Ryan Liu, the two people most likely to reach the gates of the most prestigious university. You're completely quiet now, huh? Mad or what? She said. Don't bother comparing yourself over some guy. Once you get into community college, you'll have plenty of hot guys swarming around for you to pick from. Chloe curled her lip, her voice half mocking, half provoking. Behind her, a few classmates let out soft laughs, like they were watching a play, something so funny they could hardly hold back their amusement. I had once been the class's hope. Now I was nothing but disappointment, mentioned only with looks that mixed pity and sarcasm. Thanks for letting me collect this pile of scrap paper, I answered quietly. Scrap paper? These are love letters Ryan sent me. Each one is easily worth a dime, Chloe said with a bright smile. She pulled out her phone and kept joking. Come on, scan the code and transfer the money. A burst of laughter exploded from the group of friends behind her. Their laughter felt like a series of slaps across my face. I pulled out my phone with its water-damaged screen, intending to pay, but WeChat kept showing error after error, making the whole group burst into laughter again. Forget it. That busted phone of yours can't even make a payment, Chloe scoffed. You should worry about saving up enough to buy a new one. Once you get to community college, if you can't chat with guys, that'd be such a waste. She spoke with a look that didn't bother to hide her sense of triumph. Right then, Ryan Liu appeared. He was leading a group of classmates, each carrying a stack of old books. We've been bringing books here every afternoon, he said with a smile. As class president, he was really good at bringing everyone together. Everyone enthusiastically helped out, everyone except the group hanging around Chloe. I should have felt warmed by it, but instead, the only thing I felt was an indescribable sense of embarrassment and confusion. When Ryan saw Chloe standing next to me, his eyes showed a hint of surprise. Chloe helps out every afternoon too? Of course I do. I've got a whole pile of love letters from Ryan. I sold them all to her to trade for my community college tuition, Chloe replied, her eyes flashing with satisfaction, just like the very first time she saw me fall to the bottom of the rankings in a mock exam. At that moment, she knew for sure that I would no longer be the name that stood in the way of her light. I could still remember clearly the time she posted a photo of my father sitting by a drain, holding a half-eaten bun in our class group chat. I remembered the mocking caption she wrote, the picture of our shabby rental home she uploaded to the school forum, and the fake sympathetic look on her face, one that was full of secret satisfaction. as she urged everyone to donate money to help me. Chloe Zhou was the first to uncover the poverty I had tried so hard to hide behind my grades. I was just a country girl from a small village who had come to the city with nothing but my academic scores. I was terrified of being laughed at, terrified that people would find out my father made his living collecting scraps and recyclables. In my youth, I clung stubbornly to the little pride I had left, but in the end, it was Chloe who crushed it completely without a trace of hesitation. From the top student in class, I fell straight into a pit, becoming the junk collector's daughter, a new title that people whispered behind my back. You sold the love letters to the junk lady in the afternoons? Ryan's face went pale, his eyes filled with confusion he couldn't hide. Chloe shrugged, her look indifferent. So what? They're just meaningless pieces of paper. Ryan turned to look at me, his gaze conflicted, then quickly looked back at Chloe as if hoping she wouldn't say anything that might make things worse. Chloe smirked, her eyes glinting with mockery. Why are you so flustered, Ryan? You're a guy. Don't tell me you're that timid. If you like someone, just say it. Didn't you once promise you'd take the Tsinghua exam with me? Her tone sounded playful, but underneath it was a sharp, possessive hunger. To Chloe, winning over Ryan was like claiming a trophy, something precious she refused to let anyone else have. The people around us had stopped what they were doing. Everyone knew there had once been something between me and Ryan. Though neither of us had ever admitted it, in our classmates' eyes, we were a couple. I said nothing, keeping my head down as I stacked books onto the cart, pretending not to hear their conversation. Ryan forced an awkward smile, scratching his head as he tried to change the topic. The college exam this year wasn't too hard. Everyone's got a shot at Tsinghua. Of course, Chloe replied instantly, her eyes shining with ambition. I'm definitely going to get in. Who knows, maybe I'll even be the city's top scorer. When the news reporters come, I'll be on TV. Ryan nodded along stiffly, agreeing out of habit. The air grew heavy and awkward. People glanced at each other, unsure what to say next. Finally, Chloe sighed, bored, and waved her hand. I'm heading out. Once the results are out, I'll treat the whole class to a celebration. Don't forget to come. She flashed a smile and walked off, her little group following behind. The rest of the classmates slowly dispersed. A few close friends came over, probably to comfort me, but I simply smiled and shook my head, saying I was fine. Only Ryan Liu stayed behind. He walked toward me, trying to help me lift the stacks of books, but I brushed his hand away. He hesitated for a moment, then spoke in a soft voice. Emily, honestly, I've always seen you as a little sister. Maybe everyone just misunderstood, even you. Typical of a class president. After just a few seconds of awkwardness, he had already come up with a perfect excuse to make everything sound reasonable. I looked up at him, my eyes empty, saying nothing. Avoiding my gaze, Ryan spoke again, his tone heavier. Maybe Chloe already told you. I'm not denying it. But you can't blame me. We promised to take the Tsinghua exam together, remember? But what happened after that? Just because people found out about your family, you gave up on everything. How is that my fault? He raised his voice slightly, frustration creeping in. So what if you're poor? So what if people laugh? You let that stop you and then your grades went downhill. You failed every mock exam, always at the bottom. I'm really disappointed, Emily. Now you can only go to community college. What do you expect me to do? Follow you there? Each word he said felt like a knife stabbing straight into my chest, as if everything wrong was my fault alone. I gave a faint, bitter smile, my eyes welling with tears. When the whole class laughed at me, you avoided me like I carried a curse. Afraid people would say you were dating the daughter of a junk collector. And now you have the nerve to call me vain? When Chloe cornered me in the restroom, you stood outside, pretending not to see a thing. Isn't that because you already wanted to be her boyfriend back then? After that, you started pitying me, helping me with small things once in a while, then telling everyone you only saw me as a sister. Wasn't that just to make sure no one misunderstood that you'd ever liked me? Every word that spilled from my mouth came out hoarse and trembling, sounding almost like my father's voice late at night when he came home, sitting by my bedside to ask softly, "Are you okay, sweetheart?" Ryan's face flushed bright red, his lips quivering. For a second, he was speechless, then suddenly snapped. That's enough. Stop interfering in my life. I've helped you before. Chloe and I were the ones who asked everyone to donate money for you. I told people to save your books without charging you. What more do you want? Now Chloe and I are together. We're both city kids, a good match. You should just take care of yourself. And just like that, whatever connection I had with Ryan Liu ended completely, even though it had never officially begun. I took a deep breath, forcing back the tears that threatened to fall. Got it, I said flatly. Ryan turned around and walked away without looking back. Around us, the whispers started, spreading like ripples through the crowd. I ignored them all, swallowing every bit of humiliation. When you've already lost your pride, there's no point in clinging to someone so heartless. I kept collecting books until dusk fell. As I was loading the last bundle onto my cart, Miss Harris, my homeroom teacher, happened to walk by. Seeing me, she stopped right away. Emily, your father called me earlier, she said softly. He wanted me to check how you were doing. Are you okay? Are you tired? Her tone was full of concern, her eyes heavy with regret. She had once considered me her brightest student, but now she could only watch as I slipped further and further downhill. I'm fine, thank you, I said with a forced smile. Deep down, I knew both she and my dad were worried, afraid I was being mocked and ostracized. Driving a cart around the schoolyard had made me stand out far too much. That's good, she murmured, sighing as though she wanted to say more but stopped herself. By the way, Miss Harris, I said quickly, my family's planning a little celebration for getting into college. Please come that day, okay? She blinked, clearly surprised. A celebration? But the results haven't even been announced yet, she said hesitantly, her voice uncertain as if she wanted to say something else, but couldn't bring herself to. I knew exactly what she was thinking. With how low my mock exam scores had been, it was unthinkable for me to get into a prestigious university. If I threw a party too early, I'd only make myself a laughingstock. I already checked my results, I said confidently. I double-checked them over and over. I'm sure I scored no less than 700. It had been a long time since I'd felt that kind of confidence. No one knew that to escape Chloe's cruel mockery, I had sacrificed my own pride. I had deliberately acted like a weak, failing student, let everyone believe I was a pitiful girl whose dignity had been trampled on. Why? Because as long as people looked down on me, at least they wouldn't bother to bully me anymore. But the truth was, I had always held on to a quiet kind of pride, a pride I kept hidden deep inside, one that still made me want to stand above Chloe Zhou and Ryan Liu, to look down at them with my head held high. Over 700 points? Miss Harris's eyes widened in disbelief. I nodded firmly. Yes, I'm sure of it. The exam this year was fairly reasonable, and I gave it everything I had. I'm confident I'll surpass the school's highest record, 683. Emily, you truly believe you got 700? She asked, gripping my hand tightly. Her eyes shone with emotion, though I could still see the trace of doubt behind them. I nodded again without blinking. The surprise on her face softened, turning into an overwhelming joy. She pulled me into a tight embrace, her voice trembling with excitement. I always knew you were one of my best students, Emily. I just knew it. There's no way you could have fallen so far. That's wonderful, Emily. I could feel the joy in her embrace, my nose stinging, my heart warming after so many cold, lonely days. The school will cover the costs for your celebration, Miss Harris said kindly. And there'll definitely be a commendation for you too. You just focus on starting your college life without worries. Her words were gentle, filled with genuine care. I knew that if I really got into Tsinghua, money would no longer be the heavy burden it had always been. Thank you so much, Mr. Harris, I said. After saying goodbye to her, I went back to work, pedaling my old three-wheeled cart to the recycling depot to sell all the used books I had collected that day. Even the stack of love letters from Chloe, I didn't bother to glance at them again. I sold them too, just to get it over with. The total came to 37 yuan. Not bad. Enough for a few meals at least. Afterward, I rode over to a busy shopping street nearby and bought a pair of men's canvas shoes from a street stall. They cost 125 yuan, almost all the money I had been saving up. Still, I felt strangely happy, holding the shoes close to me like a precious gift as I headed home. We lived in a shabby rental room tucked deep inside a poor neighborhood. The rent was dirt cheap, only 300 yuan a month. The room was barely 10 square meters, furnished with a single bed, an old wooden table, and a few pots stacked in the corner. I slept on the bed while my dad laid a blanket on the floor. Between us hung a thin fabric curtain for privacy. I'd lived in this stifling room for 3 years. As soon as I opened the door, a wave of hot air hit my face. The metal roof had baked under the sun all day, and even by midnight, it still hadn't cooled down. But I was long used to it. I placed the new shoes in the cleanest corner of the room, then started preparing a pot of noodles for dinner. We were poor, so noodles were all we ever ate. Just as the noodles finished cooking, my dad came home. He used to stay out until late at night collecting recyclables, but lately, the heat had been unbearable, forcing him to return earlier to rest. "Dinner's ready, Dad," I said, filling a bowl for him and setting it on the table. He walked in looking exhausted, but there was a strange brightness in his face. His usually cloudy eyes seemed to light up. "Emily, is it true? You really got into Tsinghua?" His rough, trembling voice caught me off guard for a second. Then I realized Miss Harris must have called him to share the news. I had planned to wait until evening, when I gave him his gift, to tell him the result myself. "Yes, it's true, Dad," I said with a big smile. I ran into the corner and pulled out the new shoes. "Your old ones are all worn out. Try these on." My father froze for a moment, rubbing at his eyes. Tears streamed down his sun-darkened face, mixing with a trembling, joyful smile. After a few moments of sobbing, he quietly slipped on the new shoes, finished his bowl of noodles, took a quick shower, and within minutes fell sound asleep. He looked utterly drained, as if all his strength had finally run out. I crouched down beside him and gently pulled a thin blanket over his body. Then I stepped outside to adjust the tricycle cart he usually used. We had 2 of them, one big one for him and a smaller one for me. His cart was still piled high with recyclables, layers of cardboard, plastic bags stuffed with bottles, and a bundle of scrap metal teetering on top. Looking at the mess somehow made me feel at ease. I couldn't explain it, but amidst all that clutter, there was something that gave me peace. I took a short video of the cart, then borrowed the landlord's Wi-Fi to upload it to Douyin, a video sharing app. Our landlord, Mr. Brown, was a kind man. Back when I needed internet for online classes, my dad had asked him for help, and he immediately let us use his connection. He even lent me his old laptop. He was the one who had shown me how to use Douyin in the first place. "It's the internet age now," he'd told me. "Even scrap collecting can be creative. Who knows, you might just become famous one day." "Just keep filming your daily life and posting it," Mr. Brown had said. "Who knows, maybe one day you'll change your life." My dad didn't know how to use social media, so I handled everything: filming, editing, uploading. By now I had posted more than 30 short videos. The most popular one barely reached 1,000 likes, while the rest disappeared into the endless feed. I still had no idea how to make money from it, so all I could do was keep posting consistently. Our internet connection was weak, and my phone was old, so each upload took forever. By the time it finished, I didn't even bother to check the results anymore. I just showered, climbed into bed, and started reading. I had only read a few dozen pages when WeChat pinged with a new message. It was from the class group chat. As soon as I opened it, I saw someone had tagged me. "Emily Shen, is that you? Didn't expect our very own Douyin influencer here. You've got, what, 600 followers?" Attached was my latest video, complete with the link. My stomach dropped. I frowned and tapped to open it, then froze. In the first second of the video, during a slow transition, my face had accidentally appeared in the frame. Just for one brief moment, but enough for everyone to see my tanned skin, messy hair, dry, cracked lips, and the tiredness that clung to me no matter how hard I tried to hide it. The group chat exploded. "I've seen that girl around collecting recyclables near my neighborhood. Poor thing. Still, she's hard-working, gotta respect that. I've got a pile of old stuff at home. Emily, swing by sometime and I'll sell it cheap for your family." My face burned. I felt both embarrassed and angry. Everyone already knew my family was poor. That wasn't new, but seeing it become the topic of public discussion like this made my chest tighten. And of course, a few snide comments slipped in between the lines. I might have looked calm on the outside, But deep down, I was still an 18-year-old girl. No one that age could stay strong forever under that kind of ridicule. Then Chloe Zhou's voice popped up in the chat. "Hey everyone, stop teasing Emily. Her dad works really hard, you know? Who knows? Maybe one day he'll be the king of scrap metal, and she'll be the queen of trash." As if that wasn't enough, she followed it up with a voice message. "Emily, keep it up, okay? Take over your dad's business soon, so he won't have to work so hard anymore." I clenched my teeth, trying to hold it in. Yes, I was young. I could be embarrassed, even ashamed, but I could also get angry. The rage inside me surged, sweeping away all hesitation. I glanced at my father sleeping soundly on the floor mat. His sun-darkened skin, the deep lines on his face, the rough hands covered with old calluses, they all pierced my heart. He used to be the pride of his village, a bright young man who had finished high school in the provincial capital, just a few points short of getting into college. He was educated, with beautiful handwriting. Back then, even without a degree, he still could have built a good life. But my mother had fallen ill for years, and every bit of their savings went into medicine until the family fell apart. My father had never stood tall again after that. When my mother passed, all he had left was me. For me, he found the strength to go on. For me, he came to the city to start over. He had done every kind of job: porter, security guard, factory worker, until sickness took away even that. His breathing grew weak, and no one would hire him anymore. In the end, the only work left that didn't require hiring was collecting recyclables. He rode his tricycle through the city streets every day, working under the scorching sun and biting cold. That was my father, the only father I would ever have. And suddenly, the shame I'd been feeling vanished completely. So what if he collected recyclables? So what if I was the daughter of a scrap collector? I took a deep breath, grabbed my phone, and typed back to Chloe Zhou. "Shut your filthy mouth. I won't let my father suffer any longer. If your dad had a daughter like you, he'd be rolling in his grave from shame." "What the hell did you just say?" Chloe's reply came instantly, furious. "Emily Shen, did you just curse me?" She hadn't expected me to fight back. I had always been the quiet one, lowering my head, enduring everything just to focus on my studies. But now things were different. I wasn't afraid anymore. Chloe Zhou was furious, so angry it seemed like smoke could rise from her head. The group chat instantly turned into chaos. She was the one who had created that chat in the first place, deliberately leaving out all the teachers so everyone could gossip freely. That's why no one held back. People said whatever they wanted, without restraint. Chloe's close friends took turns hurling insults at me, spamming the chat with clips from my Doujin account. "Look at this," one of them wrote. "Emily Shen's out there collecting scrap like crazy. Guess she really is becoming the queen of trash. Unbelievable. She probably thinks posting a few videos of junk collecting will make her famous. She must be losing her mind. Maybe she should try filming some sexy dance videos, see if anyone actually follows her then." Most of the class feared Chloe too much to speak up for me. Not a single person defended me, until Ryan Liu finally broke the silence. "Enough already," he said. "We're all classmates. What's the point of fighting like this?" He was the class president, so his words still carried some weight. The chat quieted down immediately. I thought maybe Chloe would stop, but then she sent a voice message. "Emily, I'm not going to argue with you. You've got it rough enough already, having to go to community college. It's pitiful, really. I wouldn't dare bully you any further." Her tone was light, but her sarcasm cut deep. Instantly, someone else chimed in. "Oh right, scores come out on the 25th, don't they? Maybe we should help Emily pick a nice community college that suits her." Laughter exploded in the chat, echoing in my ears like a slap to the face. Just then, a private message from Ryan popped up. "What's going on between you and Chloe? Haven't you embarrassed yourself enough? You keep filming those stupid videos. Don't you have any shame?" I stared at the message, my chest tightening. So that was it. My videos, my effort to earn a living, had made him feel humiliated. But what was there to be ashamed of in working for yourself? After that ugly argument, I felt strangely lighter, as though I had peeled away the last suffocating layer of pretense. My father had worked himself to the bone just to keep me from starving. I refused to let some shallow sense of pride destroy me. Without hesitation, I blocked Ryan Liu. determined never to see his name again. The days that followed, my dad and I kept collecting recyclables, filming our daily life. I started appearing in the videos openly now, no longer hiding my face. I hoped someone out there would see my effort and maybe, just maybe, support us. I no longer felt ashamed. Of course, my classmates still found me amusing, especially Chloe Zhou. Nearly every day, she would repost one of my videos in the group chat, adding her venomous comments. Wow, Emily's makeup looks amazing today. Totally rocking that war zone chic style. The group would erupt in laughter, as always. But I didn't care anymore. I kept collecting every small coin I could, waiting for the day the exam results would finally come out. And at last, the 25th arrived, the day the scores were released. That morning, my dad woke up early, washed his face, and dressed neatly. For once, he didn't go out to work. Instead, he hovered nervously around our old computer and the Wi-Fi router. "So we checked the score on this thing, right?" he muttered. "Hope the internet doesn't crash." I laughed. "Don't worry, Dad. I'll check it and tell you once it's out." Yeah, he said, though his expression stayed tense as he paced back and forth like a man walking on hot coals. Just then, Miss Harris called. "Mr. Shen, could you bring Emily to my office? Let's check her score together, and maybe take a photo to remember the moment." My dad's face lit up instantly. He rushed to get ready, clearly thrilled. But before we could leave, I received a voice message from Chloe Zhou. "Hey, Emily, I booked a hotel room for everyone, room 301 at the VN Hotel. Come join us. The whole class is here waiting for the results." Before I could even reply, another message followed, her laughter dripping through the speaker. "Make sure you come, okay? There'll be lucky money for everyone. 800 yuan if you get into a top university, nothing for regular ones. And if you fail and have to go to community college, well, you get 2,000. There was a burst of giggling in the voice message. It was obvious some classmates were standing next to Chloe Zhou when she recorded it. I did a quick calculation in my head. 2,000 yuan. If I collected recyclables, how long would it take to make that much? But then again, I probably only qualified for the 800 yuan prize. Still, 800 was no small amount. It would be stupid to miss out on it. "All right," I muttered to myself, "I'll go." I decided to head to the VN Hotel to check my college entrance exam score with my classmates, while my dad went ahead to school to meet Miss Harris first. I told him I'd join them afterward. The moment I arrived at the VN Hotel, I could feel the buzzing excitement in the air. It was packed with students, laughter echoing from all sides. As soon as I walked up, I heard a mocking voice from the entrance. "Well, look who's here, the queen of trash herself. Come on in, right this way." Two girls stood by the door, grinning like they were part of some inside joke. It wasn't hard to guess Chloe had sent them to welcome me. I didn't bother replying. I just kept my face calm and walked straight past them toward the third floor. Room 301 was already crowded. The chatter and laughter filled every corner of the large room. It was a good thing it was spacious, or there wouldn't have been anywhere left to stand. At the center sat Chloe Zhou and Ryan Liu, already settled in front of a brand new MacBook. The two of them were taking turns pressing F5, refreshing the page nervously as they waited for the exam results to load. A circle of classmates surrounded them, tense and expectant. One of the girls from downstairs called out loudly, "Chloe, the queen of trash is here." Instantly, dozens of eyes turned toward me. Chloe looked up, smiling with that familiar smugness, and waved. "You made it. Don't be shy. Have a seat. Who knows, this might be the last meal our whole class ever has together. After this, some of us will head to top universities, and some to, well, community colleges." Everyone knew exactly who that last part was aimed at. A ripple of snickers spread through the crowd. Ryan didn't even glance my way, too focused on refreshing the results page again and again. Then someone shouted, "It's open. The site's live." The whole room erupted into chaos as everyone scrambled to pull out their phones. Chloe immediately shoved Ryan aside and took over the laptop, while Ryan, unwilling to lose, grabbed his own phone to check. The noise suddenly fell away as everyone held their breath. The only sounds left were the clicking of keyboards and the pounding of hearts. I was just as anxious as everyone else. I pulled out my phone to check my score, but the internet was too slow to load. My phone was ancient, and with everyone checking at once, it might as well have been a brick. Frustrated, I poured myself a cup of tea to calm down. Just as I took a sip, Chloe suddenly jumped to her feet and screamed. Huh. 684. Oh my God, 684. The room exploded. That's a new school record. The old one was 683. And Ryan's got 681, someone else shouted. They both looked at each other and laughed, hugging tightly in front of everyone. The room filled with applause, cheers, even tears, every kind of emotion imaginable, but all eyes were on the two of them. Wow, Chloe's insane. She broke the city's top score from 2 years ago. Ryan too, 681? That's incredible. Compliments and praise poured in nonstop. Meanwhile, I sat quietly in the back, invisible. No one bothered to ask how I'd done, except Chloe. After basking in her glory for a moment, she turned to me, her eyes sparkling with mischief. So, Emily, how'd you do? Hit 300 yet? Every head turned toward me. Ryan smirked faintly, the corner of his mouth twitching with mock amusement. I kept my tone calm. My phone's too slow. It hasn't loaded yet. Or maybe you're too scared to check, someone teased. Chloe covered her mouth, pretending to laugh. Then use mine. Come on, check it here, faster this way. And remember, whoever ends up at community college gets a full 2,000 yuan from me. Don't refuse it. It'd be a shame to waste my generosity. Her voice dripped with sarcasm, and the room burst into laughter again. I said nothing. Instead, I stepped forward, straight to the laptop, ready to type in my exam number. The whole room fell silent again, everyone waiting for my score to appear on the screen. Just then, Chloe Zhao's phone rang. The moment she answered, her face lit up with excitement. She quickly shut the laptop, grabbed her bag, and hurried toward the door. The city TV crew just arrived at our school. The top scorer this year is from our class. I have to go. It was obvious she was absolutely convinced the person they wanted to interview was her. Ryan Liu couldn't contain his grin either. The city's top 10 scorers always get interviewed on TV. Let's hurry back to school, maybe we'll get on camera. The group of high scorers began gathering their things, rushing out together. Even the others, curious and eager to see the commotion, trailed after them. Within moments, the bustling room had emptied. No one even bothered to glance back at me. I stood there alone, letting out a faint, helpless smile. What a scene! Chloe was so busy chasing her moment of fame that she'd even forgotten to mock me. But then it hit me. What was my score anyway? Just as I reached for the laptop again, my phone rang. It was Miss Harris. When I answered, her voice was trembling, thick with emotion. Emily, 712 points. Oh my God, Emily, you got 712. I froze. 712 points. Out of 750. I had never even dared to dream of that number. Even though I had a feeling I'd done well, hearing it out loud still made my eyes sting with tears. Emily Shen, I told myself, you can finally hold your head high. Emily. Harris continued, nearly crying. Your father is so overwhelmed he might faint from excitement. Get to school right now. The TV crew is here looking for you. You're this year's citywide top scorer. Her voice shook with pride and joy, each word trembling. The principal just announced it. Representatives from both Tsinghua University and Peking University came in person. They want to learn about your background. They're deeply moved by your perseverance. I almost burst into tears right there. Taking a deep breath to steady myself, I nodded even though she couldn't see me. Yes, ma'am, I'm on my way right now. I rushed out the door and for once allowed myself the luxury of a taxi. When I arrived at school, the courtyard was packed. Today wasn't just the day exam results were announced, it was also the senior class's graduation photo day, so the atmosphere was electric. The most crowded area was in front of the 12th grade building, where a broadcast van was parked. Crew members were bustling around, cameras set up, reporters chatting with the administrators, their eyes scanning the crowd as if searching for someone special, the top scorer of the entire city. Chloe Zhao had already elbowed her way to the front, waving excitedly. Mr. Wang, I got 684 points. 684? The teacher repeated, impressed. Several people gasped, softly. Mr. Wang smiled and nodded. Excellent work, Chloe. All your hard studying has paid off. Thank you, sir, she replied sweetly, her tone sugar-coated as her gaze flicked toward the TV crew. Standing a few steps behind her, I couldn't help but cringe. Chloe had always been desperate to stand in the spotlight. Then Ryan Liu stepped forward. Mr. Wong, I scored 681. Mr. Wong kept his kind smile. Well done, Ryan. Both of you will almost certainly be admitted to Tsinghua. Ryan grinned from ear to ear, his eyes darting toward the cameras, clearly hoping to catch a moment of screen time. But strangely, the reporters didn't seem interested. The woman holding the microphone kept glancing around, clearly waiting for someone else. Chloe's expression shifted from excitement to confusion. Mr. Wong, she stammered. I thought I was the highest scorer, wasn't I? I stood nearby, silently amused. How could someone be that confident and that clueless? Mr. Wong replied calmly. You've done very well, Chloe, but this year there are several students with even higher scores. One reached 690, another 692, and one student in particular achieved 712. The courtyard erupted in astonishment. 712? Someone shouted. No way, that's insane. Even divine intervention couldn't pull my score that high. Please, give me that person's name, another yelled, laughing. I need to find them and worship them as my new mentor. Students from other classes rushed over, wide-eyed, craning their necks to find out who this mysterious genius was. Chloe Zhou just stood there frozen. Her face drained of color, then flushed a deep, furious red. Not only had she lost the top spot, but several people had scored higher than her. Trying to regain her composure, she asked, her voice trembling, Mr. Wong, who got 712. Mr. Wong only smiled faintly. We've already informed her homeroom teacher. She should be here any moment now. Chloe bit her lip, scanning the crowd anxiously, then suddenly shouted, Has the top scorer arrived yet? Come on out, let everyone see the legend. Her voice was filled with envy and the desperate curiosity of someone who couldn't bear not knowing their rival. I raised my hand awkwardly. Could everyone make a little space for me, please? I was small to begin with, and squeezing through that crowd wasn't easy. When Mr. Wong saw me, his face brightened. Everyone, make way for Emily Shen. All eyes turned toward me. The students in front quickly stepped aside, forming a path. Chloe and Ryan Liu stared at me in shock, their expressions frozen, completely unable to process what was happening. As I reached the front, before I could even open my mouth, Chloe snapped, What are you doing here, Emily? Don't disrupt the TV broadcast. But before she could say another word, a group of reporters rushed over. One of them held out a microphone toward me. Hello there, are you Emily Shen? The reporter asked politely. We're from Cow City Television. I'm reporter Tracy Zhao. May I have a quick interview with you? Her tone was warm yet professional. I smiled and nodded. Yes, of course. Thank you, she said, beaming. How do you feel knowing you scored 712 points on your college entrance exam? I'm incredibly happy and grateful, I replied softly, my voice shaking a little. The interview went smoothly. Question after question, each answer coming naturally. The crowd buzzed with excitement. Mr. Wong stood nearby, his smile so wide it nearly reached his ears. At first, my classmates looked stunned, but soon the murmurs turned into cheers and congratulations. Oh my God, it's really Emily, the legend herself. I thought she'd given up after what happened with her family, but she came back stronger than ever. I remember when people used to mock her for collecting recyclables. Look at her now. Way to go, Emily. You did it. Hearing their words, my eyes began to sting again. None of them knew what those dark years had really been like. The loneliness, the humiliation, the quiet nights spent crying myself to sleep. But I had made it through. I had finally made it. Suddenly, Chloe couldn't take it anymore. No, that's impossible. There must be a mistake. How could Emily Shen get 712? Her voice cracked with disbelief and fury. Her face contorted, eyes burning red. Tracy Zhao paused the interview and turned toward Chloe, confused. Excuse me, what's going on? Mr. Wong frowned deeply. Chloe Zhao, what do you think you're doing? This is a live TV interview. Compose yourself. Check again, sir, Chloe shouted, her voice shaking. There's no way Emily could get that score. But her words hung awkwardly in the air. Ryan stood stiffly beside her, his jaw tight, saying nothing. Chloe, step back, Mr. Wong said coldly. You can speak after this is over. Chloe glared at me with open hatred. High score? Please. Don't you all know? Her family collects garbage. They live next to a sewer. She spends every day picking up trash. She was digging up my past, trying to humiliate me all over again in front of everyone. But this time, I didn't feel shame. I smiled gently. So what if I do? You, Chloe's voice cracked. Her whole body trembled with rage. Reporter Tracy Zhao, clearly intrigued now, turned back to me with renewed curiosity. Emily Shen, she said, is that true? Your family collects recyclables, right? Reporter Tracy Zhao asked gently. That must have been very difficult for you. I nodded. Yes, ma'am. My dad has a lung condition. No one would hire him, so he started collecting scrap metal and recyclables to pay for my education. Every meal I've had and every book I've owned these past 3 years came from his hard work. Tracy's expression softened. Then she turned to the camera crew and whispered, record everything. This is the one. She's the story we'll build the special feature around, the lotus blooming from the mud, the top scorer who inspires everyone. Chloe Zhou's face twisted, her lips pale. In her mind, poverty was something to be mocked, not celebrated. She couldn't understand why I was being praised for it. I met her gaze for a brief moment, cold and steady, then turned toward the crowd. I'd already spotted my father standing quietly at the back, his eyes warm and full of pride, though he didn't dare come closer. Dad, I called out, lifting my hand high. Come here. They're interviewing me. Come up with me. He froze for a moment, hesitating, ready to step back. But Miss Harris, my homeroom teacher, gently nudged him forward, and my classmates began cheering him on. Go, Mr. Shen, you're amazing. Please adopt me, sir. Raise me into Tsinghua too. Now I get it. I failed my exam because my dad doesn't collect scrap metal. The whole courtyard burst into laughter. Finally, my father stepped forward, scratching his head awkwardly, eyes glistening red. I took his rough, calloused hand in mine and squeezed it tightly. Tracy was visibly moved. Sir, you're incredible, she said softly. With a father like you, Emily will surely stand strong for the rest of her life. The interview went on for a long time, continuing later inside the principal's office. The principal, Miss Harris, and several teachers joined in, recounting my entire journey, from top student, to hardship, to recovery. My father broke down in tears several times, unable to speak through the emotion. By the end of the session, representatives from both Tsinghua University and Peking University arrived in person, each trying to persuade me to enroll at their school. The sight was overwhelming, something I'd never forget. The interview was a huge success. That very evening, the special feature aired on television and spread rapidly across local social media. Within days, it went national. The hashtag #TheScrapCollectorGirl trended across every platform. In just a few short days, my father and I became known everywhere online. People began showing up at our tiny rented room, bringing gifts and envelopes stuffed with money, even though we refused most of it. Still, our little home overflowed with fruit baskets, boxes, and red envelopes tied with string. My father was deeply moved, his voice trembling whenever he spoke. Emily, never forget the kindness of these people. They're all good-hearted. I nodded, committing his words to memory. But goodness didn't just come from strangers. It came from my classmates, too. One of my old desk mates sent a message in our group chat. Emily, your Doujin followers just hit 500,000. You're trending everywhere. I even saw your name all over the internet. You're making money from videos now. Congrats, genius, Emily. It wasn't until that message that I even realized what was happening. My schedule had been packed non-stop lately, and I hadn't even had time to glance at Doujin. Curious, I opened the app and froze in shock. My account had reached 500,000 followers. Every video was flooded with likes and comments. The latest one, where I appeared on screen, had already surpassed 200,000 likes. As I scrolled through the comments, I noticed many of the accounts were new, people who had come just to find me. Finally, I saw one pinned comment that made my chest tighten. At last, we found her. The real-life scrap girl, the girl who turned hardship into brilliance. You're so adorable, and insanely smart too. Keep it up. Such a beautiful girl. Please post more videos. Comments like that flooded my feed. No one had ever said things like this to me before. Well, maybe Ryan Liu once told me I was cute, but that was back when I was still the class's top student, not the trash girl people used to mock. Memories came rushing back all at once, leaving a storm of emotions I couldn't even name. As my story spread further, several local companies stepped in to offer financial support. Combined with the prize money from school, it didn't take long before my dad and I became, in a sense, small-time millionaires. Everything happened so quickly it almost felt unreal. But the biggest surprise hadn't even arrived yet. Vin Prosperity Group, one of the leading real estate companies in the region, announced they would be gifting us a commercial apartment, a stable home for our family. That apartment was worth over 2 million yuan. The entire city buzzed with excitement. Social media was flooded with congratulations. My classmates were sharing the news in our group chat, and even Ryan Liu chimed in. "Emily, I'm really happy for you. You deserve it. Keep going strong." Once upon a time, that kind of gentle message might have made my heart flutter. Now it only made me feel cold and faintly disgusted. I didn't reply, but one question lingered in my mind. Where was Chloe Zhao? Ever since the televised interview, she had vanished completely. No posts, no comments, not even a whisper. It wasn't until the day of the House Award ceremony that I saw her again. The event, hosted by Vin Prosperity, was grand and meticulously organized. My dad and I both attended, along with local government officials, our principal, and Miss Harris, who had brought several students from our class, including Chloe. She sat alone in a corner, silent, her expression blank. She didn't even talk to Ryan. Standing on stage, I looked down at her and thought, maybe she finally realizes what she's done. But just as the vice president of Vin Prosperity Group stepped forward to hand me the official certificate of ownership, Chloe suddenly leapt from her seat and screamed, "Dad, you said you wouldn't give that apartment to Emily Shen." The entire hall froze. Only then did I realize the man presenting the award was Chloe's father. Everything clicked in that instant. After the company announced the donation, Chloe must have thrown a tantrum at home, begging her father to reverse the decision. But as a vice president, not the chairman, he hadn't had the final say. Maybe he'd made some empty promise just to calm her down, never imagining she'd show up at the event to expose him in front of everyone. "Chloe, what do you think you're doing? Sit down right now," her father snapped, his face pale as chalk. "You promised me, Dad. You said you wouldn't give it away," she cried, tears of rage streaming down her cheeks. "Why her? Why does she get everything?" "Enough," Mr. Zhao barked. "Get off the stage this instant." "Why should I?" Chloe screamed hysterically. "She must have cheated. There's no way she got that score fairly. She's a fraud." Her shrill voice echoed through the hall as she pointed straight at me, trembling with fury. My father immediately stepped in front of me, shielding me with his body. Security guards rushed to the stage, grabbing Chloe by the arms as she thrashed and shouted incoherently. Mr. Zhao stood frozen, sweat pouring down his temples, his expression stiff with humiliation. The chaos ended quickly. I still received the apartment deed, but Vin Prosperity's reputation took a heavy hit after that ugly scene. Soon after, videos of the incident began spreading online. The chaos from that day spread online like wildfire. Some of my classmates had filmed the entire scene and even added commentary. "Did you guys see that? Chloe Zhou just stormed the stage and yelled at Emily Shen. Honestly, she's been bullying Emily for years. And don't forget her boyfriend, Ryan Liu. They both used to mock Emily, called her the trash girl. So cruel." The video even caught Ryan's face in the background, as if the camera itself wanted to expose everything they had kept hidden for so long. The story of me receiving the apartment went viral, sending public opinion into a frenzy. My name became hotter than ever, especially after Chloe's outrageous outburst. But when people started digging deeper, the internet discovered something even darker. I had been the victim of severe school bullying. And the ones who had tormented me? Chloe Zhou and her boyfriend, Ryan Liu. What enraged everyone was that both of them had been admitted to Tsinghua University, one of the most prestigious schools in the country. Within days, Tsinghua's admissions office was flooded with angry messages and petitions. Every day, thousands of posts called for the school to revoke their acceptance. My father didn't care much about the online uproar. He didn't really understand social media, nor did he want to. For him, it was enough that we had money, a real home, and that people finally treated us with kindness. From that moment on, our lives truly changed. But for Chloe and Ryan, fate took a very different turn. Eventually, Tsinghua University made its decision. They rescinded both of their admissions. The harshest blow came to Chloe's father, though. Mr. Zhou was dismissed from his position as vice president of Vin Prosperity Group, the company where he had worked for years, losing his seven-figure salary and professional standing overnight. Their family collapsed quickly after that. The luxury villa became too expensive to maintain, and the fancy cars gathered dust in the garage. I later heard from classmates in our group chat that Mr. Zhou had taken Chloe to the psychiatric department of the city hospital. She was reportedly prescribed medication. Her mental state had deteriorated badly. If that was karma, I suppose it was fitting. After all, she had once pushed me so far that I wanted to end my own life. I had been shattered emotionally, too. The only thing that saved me back then was pretending to fail, acting like a struggling, hopeless student, so she would let her guard down and stop tormenting me. It was that act of quiet defiance that allowed me to survive long enough to reach this day. When the time finally came for me to leave for Tsinghua, my dad bought a new car just so he could drive me to the airport himself. But before we even left our neighborhood, I noticed someone standing by the roadside, glancing around anxiously. It was Ryan Liu. He looked restless, his expression uneasy. I got out of the car and approached him. "What are you doing here?" I asked. He startled, nervously smoothing his hair and adjusting his collar. Then, from his pocket, he pulled out a crumpled letter. "Emily," he said softly, his voice trembling, "this is all my fault. I'm not in school anymore. I don't even know whether I should retake the exams or just start working. But I can't stop thinking about you. It took me half a month to write this letter, just like the first one I ever gave you. I put everything I feel into it. Please, keep it. Even if you just take a quick look." His eyes shimmered with emotion. I reached out and took the letter from him. Ryan smiled, relief washing over his face. "Promise me you'll read it, okay? Everything I feel is in there." "Is that so?" I murmured. Then I turned, walked to the nearest trash bin, and without hesitation tossed the letter in. "There's no need," I said calmly. "At Tsinghua, there will be plenty of love letters waiting for me. Yours won't be missed." I brushed my hands off and walked back to the car. Ryan stood there frozen, face pale, his pride in shambles. My father started the engine again. Sunlight streamed through the windshield, warm and golden across my face. I stretched my arms, a bright smile spreading across my lips. Everything had changed, finally, and my journey was only just beginning. Do you think you deserve the kind of love you had, or something much better? Love and Lies story.